After my rebirth, I promptly enrolled in an expedition to Antarctica. In my previous life, my boyfriend had coerced me into a forced exchange of tactile sensations with his sister through a system. She intentionally ventured out in the sweltering heat of 42 degrees to perform acts of kindness, delivering water to outdoor workers. Meanwhile, I languished in an air-conditioned room at a mere 16 degrees, succumbing to heat stroke and fainting. I implored her to cease her antics, but Lu Weiwei feigned innocence, saying, "Sister-in-law, if you're going to lie, at least choose a more convincing reason." Lu Mingxuan's tone dripped with disdain as he remarked, "You are exceedingly selfish. Not only do you enjoy the comforts of an air-conditioned room every day, but you also can't bear to see Weiwei selflessly doing good deeds." Lu Weiwei basked in the sun for an entire month, captivating countless netizens online with her deeds. Meanwhile, I perished from heat stroke in the air-conditioned room, my body left unnoticed. Given this, I shall relish the invigorating chill of Antarctica at a frigid minus 120 degrees. After receiving the text message confirming my successful registration on my mobile phone, I finally sighed in relief. In 3 days, I would embark on a journey. In this lifetime, I would ensure that those two despicable individuals paid dearly for their actions. My body was on the verge of overheating, sweat cascading down like a waterfall. Thoroughly soaking my nightgown, I resolutely turned off the air conditioning and stepped outside, phone in hand, standing beneath the glaring sun. A cold smirk appeared on my face. "Lu Weiwei, do you think you are the only one who can bask in the sun? Honey, why are you standing out here?" My boyfriend, Lu Mingxian, rushed over holding a large watermelon, his expression a mix of concern and urgency. Today marked the first day of the tactile exchange with Lu Weiwei. In my previous life, I hadn't even made it to the hospital for a checkup, nor had I discovered that Lu Weiwei was the one causing all the trouble. Lu Mingxian, the epitome of a devoted boyfriend, immediately ran to the fruit store at the community entrance the moment I complained of the heat, putting on a show of caring. I couldn't be bothered to respond, simply turning away to continue soaking up the sun. If I had to suffer, I would ensure that Lu Weiwei did too. Lu Mingxian persisted, "Darling, please come back with me. What if you faint from standing under the sun like this? You usually detest the heat. What's going on today?" So he was aware that I despised the heat? Yet back in my previous life, when I had lost my dignity and knelt to beg him and Lu Weiwei, they merely mocked me. Lu Weiwei even took a photo of me to post online. Due to its absurdity, no one believed my story. And I became the so-called whiny princess in the eyes of netizens. Lu Mingxian, didn't your sister call me whiny? Who do you think you are? Lounging at home with a few measly coins instead of working? I'm just getting some sun to replenish my calcium. Ever since Lu Weiwei met me, she had never given me a pleasant expression, frequently venting her frustrations about me to Lu Mingxian on WeChat. Lu Mingxian was left speechless, repeatedly stammering, You. The commotion drew the attention of a group of elderly individuals huddling in the air-conditioned lobby downstairs. "Look at this young lady, TSA. Such a drama queen. Young man, if your wife doesn't appreciate your kindness, she deserves a good beating. Nowadays, young men really are suffering. Society has changed." A few elderly men and women scrutinized me closely, as if I were their daughter-in-law. I rolled my eyes and, disregarding their comments, started jogging under the sweltering heat of 42 degrees Celsius. "Lu Weiwei, I don't believe you can endure this." Lu Mingxian's face turned crimson with anger as he shakily pointed at me.
"Fine.
I see you're possessed today." He then turned and walked away. My expression darkened. He seemed unaware of the turmoil within me. Shaking my head to dispel my thoughts, I quickened my pace, and to my surprise, the usual dull ache in my lower abdomen was absent. Suddenly, my phone rang. I scoffed, calmly answering the video call, and ran. "Why are you outside?" Lu Weiwei exclaimed, her face a mask of terror. I relished the sight of her face, flushed and drenched in sweat, gasping for breath as if she might explode. Suppressing a giggle, I replied, "Weiwei, why are you so concerned about me today? I just felt like exercising a bit." "You wouldn't believe how exhilarating it is to run in this sweltering summer." Lu Weiwei was infuriated. She had deliberately gone to the construction site to deliver water to the workers, even hiring an assistant to film the entire event. Initially, she felt quite comfortable, basking in the scorching sun while climbing up and down for several hours without a care. However, as she reveled in the wonders of this tactile exchange system, everything changed. The refreshing sensation vanished completely, replaced by the stifling heat, as if she were running in a sauna. Observing the shifting expressions on Lu Weiwei's face, my urge to tease her dissipated. I cut straight to the point with a warning. "Lu Weiwei, abandon your sinister tricks, or you will face dire consequences." Her expression shifted dramatically before she abruptly ended the video call, and when I tried to reach her again, I discovered I had been blocked. Soon after, the heat enveloping me dissipated, likely because Lu Weiwei had entered an air-conditioned room. I paused my running and returned home. Lu Mingxian immediately approached me with a glass of ice water, his face radiating affection. "Darling, drink some water. Please don't push yourself like this." I frowned, instinctively refusing. But in the next instant, a heavy blow struck the back of my neck, and I lost consciousness. When I awoke, I found myself in a summer retreat situated at an altitude of over 1,000 meters, where the temperature never exceeded 25 degrees. My heart sank. The next moment, Lu Mingxian opened the door, beaming at me. "Darling, come out. Everyone is waiting for you." Without allowing me a moment to respond, he pulled me outside. To my surprise, a pool party was in full swing. The attendees were all friends from Lu Mingxuan's circle, with whom I had minimal interaction, always sensing a faint hostility directed toward me. "Thank you for your hospitality, sister-in-law. We've never been to such an expensive resort before," a man exclaimed cheerfully. Though he smiled, his gaze made me uncomfortable. I turned to Lu Mingxian, directly questioning, "What do you mean by this?" He was merely an ordinary worker, only able to afford this through the family card I had provided. Lu Mingxian, holding my hand tenderly, said, "Darling, you hate the heat, so this is my surprise for you." With that, he jumped into the pool, pulling me in with him. My blood boiled, and I slapped Lu Mingxian hard across the face. For his dear sister, he was pulling out all the stops. At this moment, I felt nothing but the overwhelming heat and lethargy. Undoubtedly, Lu Weiwei had resumed her act of kindness, delivering water in the sweltering heat. In my previous life, she had relied on her persona of benevolence to gain fame online, while I perished in an air-conditioned room. Now I was losing control, and he intended to trap me in this summer retreat. "Get off." I pushed him away, attempting to climb out of the water, but my body was forcefully restrained, held down beneath the chilly surface. The gentleness of Lu Mingxuan's facade crumbled, revealing a malevolent grin as he treated me roughly. "And ran, since you insist on opposing Weiwei. Don't blame me for being ruthless." I found myself trapped underwater, my limbs bound and unable to move. If I hadn't exchanged sensations, being submerged would have felt quite pleasant. Yet, the heat remained as unbearable as ever. Several men approached with ice cubes, relentlessly feeding them to me. "Sister-in-law, I heard you've been complaining about the heat. We're here to cool you down, haha." One of the men leered. "Brother, I have an even better idea. How about we try something tonight with sister-in-law?"
"Hey,
"You brat, do you think you can monopolize her?"
ouch."
"Second brother, I wouldn't dare. Why not we all have some fun with sister-in-law tonight?" The men continued their lewd banter until Lu Mingxian finally intervened. "Enough." The men fell silent, but their eyes roved over me, making my skin crawl. Lu Mingxian loomed over me, looking down with a mix of pity and disdain. "Darling, be a good girl, and don't cause trouble. It'll get better soon." His tone was laced with a false concern that churned my stomach. I understood his implications. In my previous life, after my death, my decaying body had been discovered 2 months later when my room was finally opened, with Lu Weiwei covering her nose in disgust as she ordered my corpse to be taken away. In a secluded area, she had said, "System, cancel the tactile exchange now," and ran. "Your only purpose in this life was to help me become a famous internet personality. Now that I have succeeded, it is time for you to bow out gracefully." It was only then that I realized all the anomalies within me were orchestrated by her. Once she becomes an internet sensation, she will undoubtedly exchange roles with me. Just wait a little while longer. I refuse to accept that. Lu Mingxian, the greatest regret of my life is having been with you. I invited the wolf into my home, and it has cost me dearly. But I swear I shall never let them off the hook in this lifetime. The pity that once graced Lu Mingxuan's face vanished entirely, replaced by a sinister, malevolent gaze. He recalled how, since our union, he had become the target of ridicule, labeled a kept man. Who else could tolerate the temper of a young lady if not him? Since you are so oblivious to your doom, then stay submerged in your plight. I found myself ensnared in the water, the heat on my face clashing with the suffocating sensation of being submerged. My skin felt swollen from the ordeal. I screamed with all my might, yet received no response. One of Lu Mingxuan's ruffian friends sneered, "Stop yelling. It won't do any good, no matter how hoarse you get." "Oh, are you trying to catch our attention? Your voice is quite alluring. It's making me hard." My anger surged and I finally fainted. When I regained consciousness, I still felt the stifling heat. The next moment, I realized I was in a basement. Lu Mingxian stood at the doorway, coldly stating, Anren, this basement is maintained at a constant 16 degrees. You'll be here for the next month. With that, he turned his back on me. The heavy sound of the door closing echoed ominously. In fury, I hurled everything within my reach against the wall, producing a cacophony of shattering sounds. Clenching the diamond bracelet on my left wrist, I prepared to act. Suddenly, the surveillance camera on the wall flashed a red light. My heart dropped. I immediately froze, pretending to be frightened as I gazed at the wall. The screen illuminated, revealing Lu Weiwei, her expression smug and provocative, as if her gaze pierced through the screen and directly met mine. Sister-in-law, how does it feel to be on vacation? I truly envy you. While you bask in leisure, I must brave the scorching sun to deliver water to those poor souls at the bottom. Each word dripped with malice, and I closed my eyes, refusing to look at her. She grew increasingly excited, continuing to flaunt, sister-in-law, when I become a famous internet celebrity, I will definitely treat you to a meal, for you have aided me somewhat. If she had a tail, it would surely be wagging with delight. I sneered, Lu Weiwei. What you have taken from others will never truly belong to you. Hearing this, Lu Weiwei let out a melodious laugh, as if she found my words amusing. Sister-in-law, you truly are a case of not shedding tears until one is in the coffin. Did I steal your possessions? How laughable. If it weren't for you, that wretched woman, stealing my brother from me, would I even target you? I furrowed my brows tightly. So, this was the truth? In that moment, all the incongruities of the past flashed through my mind. The first time I visited Lu Mingxuan's home, Lu Weiwei had hidden in her room, and his parents had awkwardly explained, she's just a child being willful. I had actually believed it and, in an attempt to ease tensions, bought Lu Weiwei gifts every time we went shopping. Yet, she had discarded them all, as if they were trash. Each time I accompanied Lu Mingxian to gatherings with his circle of friends, I had sensed their veiled animosity towards me, leaving me utterly perplexed. Lu Weiwei, I warn you for the last time. If your wickedness does not cease, I will make you suffer terribly, I stated firmly. Yet Lu Weiwei paid no heed. Deliberately, she took out her phone and dialed a number, her voice sweet and innocent. Brother, I'm so angry. I merely mentioned treating sister-in-law to a meal, and she threatened me, saying I'd have a miserable end. The lie was almost pathetic in its clumsiness. But on the other end, Lu Mingxuan's tone was one I had never heard before, filled with indulgence. Weiwei, don't be upset. Once that wretched woman has outlived her usefulness, I'll send her into the mountains to vent your frustrations. How does that sound? A string in my heart snapped. Though I had long been aware of Lu Mingxuan's nature, hearing his absurdly malicious words firsthand left me bitterly distressed. My nails dug deep into my palm, but I felt no pain. After all, no physical ache could compare to the torment within. Lu Weiwei's lips curled into a triumphant smile. See? In my brother's heart, you don't even measure up to a single strand of my hair. With that, the screen went dark, plunging me into silence. I clenched my fists, suppressing the humiliation that welled within me, and addressed the disguised diamond bracelet that served as a locator beacon. Come and get me. I was secretly rescued. The following day marked my departure for Antarctica, and I rushed to the airport with great haste. The next day, as Lu Mingxian awoke, his heart raced, as if sensing that something significant was about to spiral out of control. Yet, he couldn't quite grasp what it was. Holding breakfast, he opened the basement door, and his heart plummeted at the sight. She was gone? When his phone rang, I had already completed my check-in. I hadn't blocked him. Rather, I watched with keen interest as his calls flooded in, imagining the urgency on the other end. Upon reaching my destination, I wasted no time and directly dialed Lu Weiwei's video.
Hi. Surprise.
Guess where I am? Lu Weiwei felt as if she had plunged into an ice cellar, nearly fainting. Lu Mingxian sped back, humiliated by the envious gazes of his friends. As the facial recognition system at the community entrance displayed, this face is not in the system. His anger reached a boiling point. He glared at the screen, his eyes bloodshot with rage. Where's the property management? Is this your service attitude? He demanded, but he received not a single glance from the security personnel. These dogs raised by the community have learned to bite? The property manager soon arrived, feigning a smile as she said, Mr. Lu, your access has been revoked by the owners. Outsiders cannot enter the community. Please comply. Her smile remained unchanged, yet it nearly pushed Lu Mingxian to the brink of violence. But seeing the security guard raise his phone, he restrained himself. His heart brimmed with resentment. Anren was utterly inconsiderate. So willful. Did he not merely play a small joke on her? Furthermore, He had his reasons. His sister had always harbored feelings for him. Coming from the mountainous region, she was naturally insecure. If he had outright rejected her, wouldn't that have been akin to sentencing her to death? His parents had developed a slight bias against Anrin because of his sister, but these were trivial matters. If she were to treat his parents and sister better, wouldn't everything be resolved? Who was like Anrin, so overly princess-like. She cut off contact with his family after enduring a slight grievance. A woman must not be overly indulged. It seemed that after marriage, he would need to transfer all his assets to ensure Anrin would obey. As Lu Mingxian drove away, he was stopped again at the garage entrance. His car had been charged a fee. In fury, he took out his phone to scan, only to find that his close payment function had been disabled. Anrin, your tantrums must have a limit. Lu Mingxian finally snapped, shouting inside the car. With no other options, he had to return to his parents' home. However, as soon as he stepped inside, he heard Lu Weiwei in her room, screaming in a fit of rage. Anrin, are you insane? Wasn't I just joking with you? Do you really need to make such a big deal out of it? Just wait. I will have my brother deal with you. What are you, a worn-out shoe that my brother has played with, to act so high and mighty? On the other side of the video, I felt utterly refreshed, my expression calm as I watched her lose control. Lu Mingxian quickly rushed to the screen, first embracing Lu Weiwei tenderly, showering her with soft reassurances, his gaze towards her filled with affection. Then, his expression darkened as he looked at me through the screen, his eyes seemingly conveying, "This is your punishment for throwing a tantrum." His tone took on a mocking edge. Anrin, you are truly too willful. Did I not merely confine you to the basement? How dare you run away? Do you still hold me in regard? Return at once and kneel before my sister to apologize. Transfer your house and assets into my name, and I shall reluctantly grant you forgiveness. With a disdainful sneer, he merely fixed his gaze upon me. I found it utterly ludicrous. At such a juncture, did he still believe I was merely throwing a tantrum? I coldly retorted, Lu Mingxian, has your family not the means to procure a mirror? Lu Mingxian furrowed his brow tightly and inquired, what do you mean? What do I mean? How can you not reflect upon your own appearance? That I refrained from voicing my disgust is a testament to my civility. To speak candidly, Lu Mingxian is indeed handsome, which was the initial reason for my infatuation and pursuit. Yet, subsequent events have rendered his striking visage grotesque. I ceased to speak, calmly shedding my outermost garment. The frigid -120 degrees of Antarctica posed no hindrance to me. Meanwhile, on the other side of the screen, Lu Weiwei collapsed almost instantaneously. So cold, she cried, her body trembling uncontrollably, tears forming and freezing the moment they escaped her eyes. Yet, she did not forget to curse. You little vixen, hurry and put on some clothes. Using such despicable tactics against me, I will surely see you dead. Despicable? Is it truly vile to retaliate with the same method? I remained unmoved, intent on removing another layer. Lu Mingxian, startled, was slow to react, finally gathering himself to tightly embrace Lu Weiwei. He rigidly warned me and ran. You must put on some clothes at once. Do you not see my sister shivering from your actions? Even if you are envious, there must be limits. If you continue this way, we shall break up. The last statement dripped with condescension. I found it absurd. From where did he derive such confidence? We had long since parted ways. I replied coolly you. Lu Mingxian was taken aback, his face flushed with humiliation. Just as he was about to reprimand me, his phone rang, a call from his superior. Lu Mingxian, you are terminated. Come to the office to collect your belongings. If you do not retrieve them within an hour, you may as well search through the garbage. The line went dead. Lu Mingxian clutched his phone in disbelief, utterly unable to process the news.
How could this be?
I am the top salesperson. How could I be dismissed? Upon hearing his misplaced confidence, I could not suppress my laughter. Had it not been for my covert assistance, would he have achieved such stature? Moreover, the company was mine to begin with. Lu Mingxian could never fathom that the girlfriend he dismissed as idly sitting at home was, in fact, the owner of a publicly traded company. I felt a surge of relief, thankful for the precautions I had taken during our time together. A message pinged on my phone. President N. Lu Mingxian has been dismissed. I responded with a smile, informing my professional manager of a bonus in his salary. Lu Mingxian, still on the video call, murmured to himself as if in denial, "It's impossible. I cannot be fired. The manager must be jealous of me and fears my rise. I must confront the boss. Yes, I must report this." I observed with cold indifference, realizing how blind I had been in the past. Lu Weiwei had already wrapped herself in every blanket in the house, yet it proved ineffective. I felt a strange warmth. She finally ceased her bravado and, in tears, pleaded, and ran. I beg you, spare me. I am freezing to death. Her bones felt as if encased in ice, and even the slightest movement drained her of energy. At that moment, Lu Weiwei was engulfed by sheer terror. She genuinely feared for her life. Seeing my unwavering demeanor, she turned to Lu Mingxian. Brother, please persuade my sister. She will surely listen to you. Lu Mingxian, already agitated, recoiled at her frigid touch. Annoyed, he pushed her away, exclaiming, "Have you no sense? Now you realize how unbearable the cold is? Why didn't you think of that before? If you cannot endure, simply cancel your so-called exchange system." Lu Mingxian could hardly recognize the sister he had once cherished. She now appeared grotesque in her desperation. Yet Lu Weiwei suddenly froze, shaking her head repeatedly. No, that can't be. Lu Mingxuan's brows knitted in confusion. Her behavior was inexplicable. I watched their farcical interaction with a mocking gaze.
Why?
Because he loved only himself. Every other person was merely a tool for his benefit. Lu Weiwei, still reeling from the events, attempted to crawl back to Lu Mingxian, reaching for his hand. Brother, you love me. This must have been an accident, right? But Lu Mingxian shoved her to the ground, impatiently stating, "Are you done? Now, you know what it means to be cold? Why did you not think of this before? If you cannot stand it, just cancel that exchange system of yours." Lu Mingxian found his once gentle and loving foster sister transformed into a figure of revulsion. Lu Weiwei, in utter panic, never imagined I would uncover the secret of the system. As for how I came to know, it was in my previous life, after my demise, that my spirit lingered. Overhearing the truth, at that moment, I felt a surge of unbridled hatred, longing to see her utterly destroyed. Recalling the humiliations of my past life, a fierce resentment ignited within me once more, and I continued to shed my warm clothing. With each layer removed, Lu Weiwei shivered increasingly, her skin mottled with bruises. Soon, her limbs lay immobile, with only the faintest breath escaping her lips to signify she was still alive. "Help me," Lu Weiwei gasped, her voice barely a whisper, almost inaudible. I felt no remorse, only a sensation of exhilaration. As I zipped up the last piece of clothing, I was on the brink of avenging the grievances of my past life. Yet suddenly, a mechanical voice echoed in my mind. My dark pupils widened, and I could not help but chuckle. I had conceived a far more thorough method of retribution than merely allowing Lu Weiwei to freeze to death. "This time, I will let you off," I declared, and one by one, I began to don my clothing again. Lu Weiwei had long succumbed to the cold, slipping into unconsciousness. Meanwhile, Lu Mingxuan's eyes glimmered with a newfound desperation as he implored, "Wife, I was wrong. It was all Lu Weiwei's deception that caused me to harm you. I promise never to hurt you again. Can you ever forgive me?" Suppressing my nausea, I fixed my gaze upon him. With a somber tone, I replied, "Lu Mingxian, I have a surprise for you." His eyes lit up, mistaking it for a sign of my forgiveness. Internally, I scoffed. After spending half a month in Antarctica feeding penguins, I returned leisurely. Upon logging onto the internet, I discovered that Lu Weiwei had posted a video across all her social media, accusing me. In the footage, her body was a tapestry of bruises, with flesh rotting and oozing, a clear indication of frostbite. She brazenly posted my name, phone number, and address in the comment section, insinuating that I was the cause of his suffering. My phone was inundated with calls, as righteous netizens, oblivious to the truth, flocked to attack me. "You look so beautiful. Yet your heart is so malevolent. Do you realize you've ruined someone else's life? I think a woman like you deserves a beating." Miss Sen, residing in Building 7, Apartment 203 of Jinyuan Community, living in such luxury yet harming others? You better watch out, ha ha ha. I handed over all the information of these attacking netizens to the company's legal department, providing them with a perfect opportunity for practice. As for the true instigator, I was in no hurry. The most devastating blow is always best delivered when the opponent is at their most triumphant. I moved into the standalone villa my parents left me. The security here is top-notch. As long as I wish to remain hidden, no one can ever find me. Day by day, I watched Lu Weiwei spiral into madness online. Ultimately, she completely lost her sanity and called the police. I strolled into the police station as if it were a leisurely outing, and immediately someone rushed at me, only to be intercepted by my bodyguard. Lu Weiwei was a sight to behold, bruised and seething with resentment. "You wretched woman! You've finally shown yourself." You've ruined my life. I want to kill you. In her frenzy, the police swiftly restrained her, urging her to calm down. Wishing to avoid her presence, I cut straight to the point. Lu Weiwei, you accuse me of harming you. Yet I ask, how exactly have I done so? Where is your evidence? If you cannot present any, I will instruct my lawyer to countersue you for defamation. With tears in her eyes, she pointed accusingly at me, her voice trembling with indignation. It was her. She went to Antarctica, leaving me in this wretched state. My company terminated my contract due to my disfigurement and demanded a compensation of 5 million. You must arrest this vile woman. She not only harmed my body but also caused me to lose my job and plunge into debt. She feigned a kneeling position, begging the police to take action. However, the officers looked at her awkwardly, as if observing a deranged individual. Lu Weiwei was at her wit's end, failing to consider that, aside from those who have experienced it firsthand, who would believe in such a system, even I, prior to my death in my past life, would never have believed it. Miss Sen, your claims are far too outrageous, and without evidence, we cannot file a case. The police officer, displaying sympathy, added, I know a psychologist. I can refer you. Lu Weiwei's pupils dilated in disbelief, realizing even the police would not aid her, driving her to madness. She plopped down in front of the police station, wailing uncontrollably. Overwhelmed by regret. She merely sought fame. Why was it so difficult? Not only had she ruined her own body. Ms. Lu, your condition suggests you have been exposed to extreme temperatures, causing significant internal damage. If left untreated, your life may be in jeopardy. Remembering the doctor's words, tears streamed down her face. The incessant calls from the debt collection agency echoed on her phone. I approached her, speaking softly, I can help you. Lu Weiwei looked up, momentarily stunned, suspecting I was mocking her. I dismissed my bodyguards and whispered, what if I also possess a system? Lu Mingxian, taken aback by my prolonged silence, had clearly assumed my forgiveness. He waited daily at the entrance of the community, yet never encountered me. Ultimately, we crossed paths beneath the company building, surrounded by a throng of people. The manager, with a warm demeanor, spoke to me with a smile that balanced on the edge of cordiality and flattery. Lu Mingxuan's dark eyes quivered as he rushed towards me. Initially intending to confront me, his expression softened, and he murmured, Ran, why have you been avoiding me? I miss you. May I move back in with you? I rolled my eyes, retreating 3 paces, as if he were a source of contagion. You. Lu Mingxian clutched his chest, his face flushed with anger. The manager stepped in front of me, coldly interjecting, get lost. Harassing the chairman. Do you wish to meet your end? Chairman? Lu Mingxian stared at me incredulously, mouth agape. He attempted to grasp my hand, but before he could reach me, my bodyguard restrained him. I stood before him and uttered my final words. Have you not yet discovered the surprise I prepared for you? Check your bank account. With that, I turned and walked away. From then on, I would distance myself from all who sought to drag me into their abyss, embarking on a new chapter of my life. Once Lu Mingxian was released by the bodyguards, he furrowed his brow and opened his banking app. In an instant, he felt as if his heart had shattered. Clutching his phone tightly, he stared at the screen for what seemed like an eternity, finally realizing his eyes were not deceiving him. All the balances in his bank accounts had plummeted to 0. Furthermore, upon checking Alipay and WeChat, he found all funds had vanished as well. Terrified, he dialed the bank's customer service, but each representative informed him that there were no transaction records. His accounts had always been at 0. Trembling, he reported the matter to the police, only to be told he had not been the victim of fraud. He refused to believe it, repeatedly storming into the bank, vociferously accusing them of stealing his money. Ultimately, he was reported to the police for creating a disturbance and was detained for half a month. Upon his release, Lu Mingxian was on the brink of a mental breakdown. To his horror, he discovered that any funds his parents transferred to him would vanish within moments. His parents, though skeptical, could only confront the reality they witnessed. As the 3 of them languished in fear and confusion, Lu Weiwei completed her treatment in the hospital and returned home, seemingly unscathed. Lu Mingxuan's eyes darkened with suspicion. Where did you acquire this money? The affection Lu Weiwei once held for him evaporated in the face of his cold indifference. She retorted defiantly, Brother, this is all thanks to you. Her face radiated with the joy of revenge. Initially, she had been in despair, completely unaware that Ran would voluntarily offer her assistance and even use the system to exchange her financial standing with Lu Mingxuan's. From then on, every penny Lu Mingxian earned would belong to her. With malicious glee, she declared, "Brother, since you do not love me, then earn money for me for the rest of your life." However, as soon as she uttered those words, a sharp pain pierced her abdomen. Looking down, she was horrified to see her brother had plunged a knife into her. "Die, you monster!" Lu Mingxian screamed, releasing all the pent-up fury of the past days. Upon learning that Lu Mingxian had murdered Lu Weiwei and received a death sentence, I merely scrolled through the news on my phone with indifference. The system's voice echoed in my mind. Destruction countdown 321. Destruction successful. A smile involuntarily curved my lips. I mused. This world has its own set of operational rules. It requires no so-called system.
The end.
Thank you for listening. Until next time, farewell.